My heart would start pounding. I start sweating. I start yelling at my wife and dog for no reason.
The dude couldn't play, and that was simple as that. But we knew that 2 years ago. The dude couldn't.
Isn't like proficient and like he isn't on his game, you can't start in week 1.
If you earn the spot and you're the better player, your ass should be playing. Period.
I would have it Carlton Davis on one side and Terrion Arnold on the other.
Welcome one, welcome all. We got a special show for you guys. We got my boy Walter Stringer. We got Ted Rath in the building. We got Joe Chapp. This is going to be a very good show. I got to introduce my special guest, and this is a Avery Giovanni production in accordance with the Detroit Lions News. So I'm very happy to work with this collaboration here and kind of bring the two universes together. I see how these shows kind of like marry each other, and they're similar. So I love to bring this type of show in with these type of characters, these type of individuals. And I got to bring in the special guest of the week because we know Walt, but we gotta get to Ted Rath. Ted Rath. Ted Rath, ladies and gentlemen. Ted Rath.
What's going on, Ted?
What's up, fellas? Great to be here. Appreciate it.
If you're not familiar with Ted Rath, this guy has been, well, matter of fact, you introduce yourself because I'm not going to give you no justice. This guy's been a part of the NFL for years. This guy's worked with the Eagles, the Rams. I think you've been everywhere Ndamukong Suh has been. You worked with the Lions as well. Like,
You've held back Sean McVay.
Yeah, I mean, I beseech you. The whole NFL insider in the building.
The more you can do, the more
he got some biceps on him. He got it all going for himself.
Right. Y'all can't say Spirit of Detroit didn't come up. I mean, meeting Darcy was the best thing in the world. Now I get all these insiders now. I get the insiders, inside track. And I would like to bring in, Walter Stringer. Shout out to Walter Stringer, man. Tape don't lie, professional. I get all my ideas from him. I steal the ideas is what I do. I the ideas, put them in my form. And then we got the ever so insightful, loving Joe Chapp. Shout out to Joe Chapp. I know. Look, man, I love this guy right here. Introduce yourself.
What up, guy? I got this new freaking mic arm and it's pissing me off. We'll see how it goes. We're going through the whole show today. So
okay, all right.
You don't talk bad about the shore now.
Yeah, we don't talk bad.
Don't talk bad about the shore.
My mic arm broke, so I had to get.
The boom arm broke.
Yeah, I had to get a new one. And then they were like, I'll give you a backstory. So I was setting this up before I came on, and then I had some stupid update on my computer, which pissed me off. But like they're like, hey, you gotta send it back to this address with this PO box. I'm like, all right, whatever. I do that. I go to UPS today, and they're like, oh damn. They're all getting like, what the hell? And it was like $30.
We got you, man. We're gonna take care of you. Okay. We're gonna the production issues. The producers behind the show. Shout out to Darcy. The producers behind the show. You're supposed to bring yourself up, not me, but it's okay. It's okay. But the best topic I have to do. There he is. We gonna get the stuff up. So obviously we know what we're here for. We're here for Jameson Williams. We're here for the issues. We're here for it. And I got to get everybody's take before I go. So I'm gonna start from left to right and then down. Okay, if that makes sense to y'all. So we're gonna go with the special guest first, and Walt, then Joe Chapp. So, man, tell me, what do you think? What do you think, Ted Rath? Just start from the top. Jameson Williams, gun story.
JMO, first of all, I love this kid, and I love the fact that Dan Campbell's already came out just a couple hours ago defending him, basically saying, listen, I know this kid. And Dan Campbell is a person that you can tell he's authentic, he's organic, he really goes into knowing people. That's part of the draft process, too. I remember going through this with the draft process, and I remember digging up on JMO, found nothing but great things. Everyone that's been around the kid likes him. They love him. They say, hey, he's going to do all the right things. I think the negative side of this, it's the optics. It looks bad. You look at, he's on suspension. He's had multiple issues, the gambling last year, now the PED, now this. Optically, it looks bad. Now, as you go into that, it's a kid. It's a 20-some-year-old kid. I remember when I was in my first year with Detroit, we drafted Matthew Stafford. He was a 20-year-old kid. He couldn't legally drink, but we gave him almost $50 million guaranteed. So these kids walk into a very hard-to-be successful situation. You look at J-Mo, and you know that he's got a good background. People like him. He's a good kid. He's talented as all get out. Now, does it look bad? Absolutely. He's going to have to repair some of the damage in the locker room with trust with the general manager, with the coaching staff, with his teammates. I think he'll do all that stuff because, once again, everyone that's been around this kid likes him. That's a good quality. So does it look bad? Absolutely. We'll see what happens, from the investigation, and then obviously the league from a personal conduct policy standpoint. We'll see what they end up doing, but you root for a kid like this. You hate to see people making mistakes. It's not the same mistake every time. They're a little bit different, but they all kind of look like a little bit of a lack of awareness and just trying to be a little bit smarter in situations. Well, I'm rooting for the kid. I like the kid. I've heard nothing but good things about him.
Yeah, I agree with what Ted said 100%. You look at the situation for what it is. For someone who already had, regardless of how minor or major some people may view the transgressions he had before, they all add up. They're all a bunch of paper cuts. They all seem to get substantially worse for a lot of people's eyes, for a lot of views, for a lot of people. And for a kid who came here already with a negative glow around him, it wasn't his fault. He tore his ACL in the national championship game against Georgia. There were people who were already kind of side-eyeing him, and they were kind of against him, and they were against the pick from the very beginning. Then you look at the fact that when he finally did reach the field, he was dropping the football everywhere, so that also was another strike against him. You talk about the gambling situation, that's a lack of awareness. That was against him. You're talking about the PEDs, and then you find out about this. For a lot of people, I think it's annoying because me personally, I don't think he's a bad kid at all whatsoever. I think he seems to be more of an impressionable free spirit. And I view Jameson the way I view him because I have a 21-year-old son, a son that's in that same age range as him. And I understand how silly and kind of bubble-headed some of these young men and some of these young ladies can be at 20, 21, 22 years old. Doesn't make them bad people at all. They just tend to make bad choices. Now, for me personally, I'm more concerned about Jameson the person than I am the football player. I do understand that as fans, we care about the football team first and foremost for the most part, but I'm concerned about him when it comes to screwing up his money, and more importantly, I'm more concerned about him when it comes to potentially his life, because when it comes to life, you only get so many opportunities. You may look at everything as, okay, this is minor, that's minor, this is nothing. But at the end of the day, all of these things add up, and if you have lapses in judgment, if you are very impressionable, and if you're a person that doesn't really utilize your scruples as much as you should, that can potentially lead to something very dangerous. Like I said, I'm pro football team, just like everyone else is, but I do view these players as more than just objects, more than just people to entertain me and win me money in fantasy football on Sundays and Mondays or Saturdays or Thursdays or whatever. And like I said, I view him as somebody who, does he need to make better decisions? Yes. But I do understand why some people, and I got a question earlier today from someone close to me. They asked me, do I think it's time for, and this is from a person that's not even from here. They're a Las Vegas Raiders fan and a Raiders content creator. Actually, he said he thinks it's time for Detroit to move on from Jameson Williams and that the team is moving in the direction that they don't need what he has going on slowing him up. When I look at Jameson Williams for what it is, I don't think, like I said, he's not a bad kid at all. I can understand people's frustrations with him, but also the team has all the leverage. Complete leverage. You're talking about this was year 3. Year 4 is coming up. You're talking about potentially picking up that 5th-year option. The ball is in his court to perform. Yeah. And what these kids don't understand is, listen, you're only 21, 22 years old and talented as hell for so long. And this league will chew you up and spit you out. I want to see all of these young dudes get paid. And most importantly, I want to see them maintain a prosperous, healthy life. And I just don't want him screwing things up for himself completely. And at the pace he's going right now, he's kind of leaning in that direction.
Yeah, I want to say before I get to Joe Chapp, I just want to say, Jameson Williams has got to be a better character from now on. Like, the optics don't look good, but I'm gonna get to Joe Chapp, and then I'm gonna go. I got you, Joe.
Well, I mean, you guys are all taking like some, stance or whatever. I'll just say what it is. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. Because 2 things. This guy's been in trouble before with the suspension. That's fine. That we already talked about that with Ted. We already talked about that with each other and all that stuff. This time around, this is something that's very, very avoidable in terms of JMO doing something the right way. NFL staff across every NFL staff across the league, and Ted can say this right here. They have these top-notch security guys. Either I know the Lions for a fact they have ties to Wayne County. Some have ties to FBI. Some have ties to state police and everything. One of them has ties to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, which if you want to get a CPL, you can get a CPL really damn easy. So here's the thing. If he wants to go, if he wants to have a gun, fine. I support his Second Amendment right because guess what? I own a gun. I like to carry. It's your legal right. It's your God-given American right. I stand on that. But you got to do it the legal way because you are an influential person in the Detroit community, no matter how you think about it or not. And when you go into areas that might not be the best areas, they might want to take something away from you. So you have to have protection. That's just the reality of the situation. That's just the sad reality we live in. Even if you go to Royal Oak or Birmingham, there could be things that pop off there, and it's probably best to have your protection. So what I can say to Jameson, after watching that body camera and after talking to people who actually know what happened in reality, he should have just let his brother take credit for the gun. That's what he should have done because that could have really alleviated things in a big way. He wanted to say it was his gun, which it's registered to him, but his brother had the CPL. If you had just used his head and just said, "Oh no, that's his gun," he could have got this would be a nothing story right now. But he had to say it was his gun when he didn't have a CPL, and in the state of Michigan, when you don't have a CPL, and your brother has a CPL, but you say it's your gun, I mean that's opening up a lot of legal stuff. So it's one thing after another with this kid, and I love him as a player. I hope he really turns it on as we go. Hope he has no more issues. But the way I look at it right now, and this is the reality, you're gonna be the last to get paid right now. Because I look at this in reality, you have Kirby Joseph who's gonna need a deal pretty soon. You got Brian Branch who's gonna need a deal soon. You're gonna have Hutchinson up for a deal soon, and you gotta kind of protect your money. So are you really gonna? I think the option for him is 15, 17 million. That's something that Brett Holmes is going to have to think about really, really hard. Yeah. Are you going to hand this kid $17 million knowing he can't stay on the field? That is the biggest issue right now because he didn't play in year 1. He didn't play in year 1, which he was injured, which no one holds against him. Yeah. But every year it's been something.
Well, to your point, every year it's been something. I think Walt alluded to that earlier.
He hasn't given us a full season in 3 years.
Yeah. And I think Ted Rath was right. I think you all have like pieces of the fan base, and that I think you all have pieces of the fan base. Here's what I want to say in terms of this. It is rather annoying to live in remarkable times all the time with Jameson Williams, and you can keep me foursquare. You can keep me foursquare. It's very, thank you. It's uncomfortable to hear his name in the news. When this happened, I seen the 911 call or the voice, the camera, right? And first of all, I don't do the camera thing for obvious reasons, because I don't like the camera thing. Okay, it's always bad. I'm just glad he's alive. Okay, so secondly, the biggest thing about it is that first I can deal with. I ingested either Viagra. I heard stories of Viagra. I heard stories of I've heard stories of the horse pill at the, horsepower pill for the. I don't know why a 23-year-old needs horsepower pill. I don't really know. I don't know.
Right, I was gonna say a young man like Jameson.
Yeah,
Viagra.
I heard
you have to be rocked and ready to go. Let's go.
He said rocked and ready.
I heard these stories, and I was a little dismayed because I was like, okay, the league is suspending him about this, and we had a commenter. Shout out to Dolomite. He included that, we got worse things going on. We got Rashid Rice. We got all these guys in the NFL are doing heinous crimes, felony F1 felony crimes.
Yep.
And with Jameson, it's rather annoying because a lot of this stuff can be a 2-minute conversation. Mm-hmm. It could be a conversation about maybe you as a person don't want to talk about your Viagra. I'll give you that. I'll alleviate that. But why don't we just look at what we can take and what we can't take? Secondly, to the point and to your credit of the gambling, Walt Stringer brought up the gambling. Like, let's think about this. You're in your hotel room gambling on NCAA games. First and foremost, as much as I know, that's a crapshoot. You listen up. There's no more money you can get.
Right.
It's over with. I don't know what he's doing.
Wasn't it women's basketball too?
Man, he's gambling on everything.
Okay, if you're gambling on women's basketball, we have a legit problem, bro.
It's terrible, man.
But if that's the case, shouldn't the league ever just looked at it and said, "Oh, he bet on the women's NCAA? Get this out of here." No insult to the girls, but still,
at that point, the league better hand him the number.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a bunch of paper cuts. It gets annoying. Like, come on, like something else again. Like, really, son.
Avery,
really?
In my point.
Joe made a great point here because the NFL educates players. We literally, during training camp, there's certain educational requirements you have to have. So you have your team security personnel. You have your FBI. Every team has an FBI segment because most are in big cities. So the FBI person's there, and someone from the league comes in and they say, guys, weapons, here's how you do this if you're going to care. They educate the players on this. So once again, that awareness is what optically looks really bad, and it is bad. He's not making these egregious things, but it's those little things. We always joke about this within the league. If you fail a drug test for marijuana, because you know exactly when you're going to get tested, you know the time frame. If you fail a test for weed, you failed basically an IQ test because and the teams are educating you and saying, hey, this window, don't smoke weed. You will be tested. After that's done, you're done. You're good for the rest of the year. So I think that's probably what raises the concerns for me a little bit more. So I think that's what we got to pay attention to. It's a complete lack of awareness.
Yeah. I just feel like and my heart bleeds for it because it's such a serious situation. Mm-hmm. And when you hear the pain in his voice, like, I can't have this on my name, and he's in handcuffs. I can't have this on my name, bro. I play for the Lions. You see the conviction of his voice as he's an innocent person. But in Michigan law, this conversation opens up the Second Amendment right. This conversation opens up player personnel. Are you educating your players? Like you said, Ted Rath, this conversation opens up so many layers to this one situation. And this could be avoided with a 5-minute conversation that they had. They had this conversation with him. And, it boggles my mind how so many people want to mess up their check. He's a guaranteed check in the NFL. Whether he's here with the Lions, he goes to the Eagles, he's a guaranteed check. He's going to get paid. Brandon Cooks has a place in the league. Fast receivers have a place in the league. This guy is running 4.2, run 4.0. He has a place in the league. With the number he's putting up, he's at 300, 400 yards. I just don't understand. Like, at least have the concept of mind to say, it's my brother's gun. Back in the olden days, I'm going to end it with this. Yeah. Back in the olden days, if me and Walter if I'm going to the NFL, Walter's my brother. He's going to take the charge. Back in the olden days, he's going to take the charge. Because I'm the one with the future.
LeBron is not LeBron's gun. It's not his.
He's super lucky that the supervisor who came was a super fan of the Detroit Lions. He literally is a super fan. That's
was it Rich Eisen?
No, I'll tell you off camera who it was.
Joking, let me stop.
I know exactly who it was, and I know exactly why they got let him off. Because this is all avoidable. Like I was saying, like Ted Rath, said it right there. The security personnel, they'll literally take like a box full or like a folder full to the league to like Wayne County's office, and they'll be like, "Can you process this real quick?" And they'll get it processed. That's the way it goes. So the fact that he didn't do that. I mean, that's a decision that he made. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very everything that he's done has been very avoidable. It's awareness. That's all it is.
But Ted brought up something which led me to think about another case. How do we embark on cases like Josh Gordon then, where like guys violate not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6 times? They serve numerous suspensions, and they just keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, that was a question that I had because I always wondered, how did Josh Gordon keep getting those opportunities?
Yeah,
if he kept failing tests.
Where there's production, there's tolerance. I think you look at that first and foremost. If you're a talented player, there's going to be people. And I do think this too. This is a human element because you're dealing with general managers, presidents, owners. They're humans. So they're going to look at, all right, if you failed a drug test and you're smoking marijuana, it's weed. Everyone knows what it is. It's going to be legal at some point for the entire country. So you go through this and you say, is it that bad? Not that every crime deserves like, oh, let's look at it. But I'm a big believer in context. What was going on behind the scenes? We don't know. I don't know personally what was going on. Does it seem from the outside looking in like he could have said, yeah, that's my brother's gun. It's not mine. And God, yes, it does seem like that. Once again, that's a lack of awareness. But if the kid's trying to be completely honest, I also don't fault him for that. So I think you look at these guys that are multiple offenders, anyone, whether it's multiple drug-related incidents, whether it's whatever, speeding, there's certain things, but there's a human element. We're trying to help people. And I love what you said earlier, Walt, because some of my best friends are players that I've had. And I hold that personally dear to me because I care about them as a person and their family way more than I do as a player or someone getting fantasy stats. So for me, how do we help these guys? We have to educate them, surround them. And the NFL does an incredible job. We have resources. I know, Joe, you talked about it. The resources are there, but the players have to reach out and they have to be willing to accept those resources.
Look at being honest. Look, we're being honest, guy Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point.
I just want to preface this. For anybody that's looking for any legal context here, you can put me on the Foursquare. Any legal concept here? Oh, well, I'll do it. So look, the legal concept is you have a concealed pistol license for the movement of a weapon in a vehicle. Okay. It's essentially, for some people, for me, I'm very Trumpian when I say this, it's a money grab. Okay. Having a concealed pistol license, because obviously we open up the Second Amendment right now. Okay. I'm not gonna get no. I'm not. All right.
You're not gonna get preachy.
I wear my red hat on Tuesdays only. Anyway. So for me as a service member, former service member, right? Just got out in April, right? I do not have a pistol currently because I had murky ideal of the law. I did the CPL class, and then I realized I don't need the CPL if I'm in my home with a weapon. So I was like, I don't need the CPL. I'm not planning to travel with the weapon. But when you're a high-profile NFL player and there's FBI and there's a lot of money on the line, millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands if you get taxed properly in this state in California, and you know, I just feel like there's a process of due diligence. You know, whether it's Viagra, whether it's the weapon, whether it's gambling. Like we have to have everything within context. We have to be like, you know, soldiers of being a citizen. You know, you have to understand your rights. You have to know your rights, and you have to know them to the letter of the law. I praise the officer. Thank God there was an officer on the scene who had a lions, like had concept of the lions, because the first two people had no idea who he was. The first two people did their job to the letter of the law. I appreciate them. Shout out to all my officers. This situation with the wrong officers could have went left, completely left. And you have to be a certain amount of aware in your head of what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what do you need to do. And shout out to his brother for actually having a CPL. Jesus Christ. Because it would have been bad. It would have been bad, man. It would have been super bad. And I just want to say this, and I'm going to let y'all, you know, give your final thoughts on this situation. Jameson Williams, I'm talking to you, buddy. All right? Look, talking to you, buddy. Oh, no, my bad. There we go.
I'm talking to you, Ted. I'm talking to you.
You are on a team that's going to the Super Bowl. I thought about you all day. My brother-in-law had a case just like this, right? His CPL was expired. He was traveling with a weapon, and the discretion was, okay, you have a CPL, but it's expired. Here's what we're going to do. They threw the case out. Now, the Army found out, took his secret clearance, and he does have a secret clearance, but he was never charged with the situation. Okay. So you, $1 million man, you're not a service member. You're $1 million man on a Super Bowl team. I need you to focus in. I'm talking about focus in on 1,600 yards. That's it. And focus in on your family. Focus in on your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your mother, everybody who was there when you left St. Louis. Focus in. Okay? You're playing for them. You're playing for us. We appreciate you. We respect you. But we got to keep this very simple. Just stay in the house. Listen to J. Cole. Don't do anything. I don't know if you have an idea, call Amon Ra. If you have an idea, call Brad Holmes. The fact that you're taking Viagra is wow.
Man, leave this man and his Viagra alone, man. You keep bringing this man's Viagra up.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure he could show up for the moment, man. Damn, that's all. There's no law against wanting to show up for the moment. He wanted a little extra help.
He must have had a 6 Mile baddie on. He must have had a 6 Mile baddie. If that's
he was getting them some Coney. He had a few bottles of Tito's. He got him some Coney. Grabbed him some Viagra.
He had to treat Cinnamon right.
Right. So right now it's the warrants. The submittal of warrants is at the prosecutor's office. Kim Worthy, hard hitter. Not going to get to that. She will convict a carrot. If she can find a carrot to convict, she will convict a carrot.
As long as it's a brown carrot.
Exactly. So, final thoughts on this, guys, and we're going to move on to some injury news. Malcolm Rodriguez, shout out to him. Hope he heals up. Final news on, and for everybody, Crunch Time Detroit did a great little special with a actual lawyer. I can't afford a lawyer right now, so I didn't bring a lawyer on, but I got Ted Rath. So shout out to Ted Rath. I got Ted Rath. Final thoughts on Jameson Williams, Ted.
Have better awareness, because once again, you have to use the resources. They're there. Once again, it's not egregious. He's not making the same mistakes, but he's making mistakes, and they've been multiple. You can't do that. This is the NFL. It is a privilege. It's 1,000% a privilege that can be stripped away from you. So he's got to lock in. He can't afford any more mistakes. And I know Brad and I know a lot of guys in that building, they like the kid, but at some point, you got to move on if you can't demonstrate that you're able to make the right decisions more consistently.
All right, Walt.
You guys hear me?
You guys hear me? Yeah, I hear you. You hiding your pretty face. No,
Here
wait,
you go,
never.
man.
Y'all will take me literal. Never mind.
No, I'm gonna just say this, man. I understand the part of the fan base that's frustrated with him because I'm kind of frustrated too. But like I said, I view it as a kid that you're rooting for. You know he's not a bad kid. He's just living his life at 21. Is he wrong? He's not 21, but he's still in that age range. I feel like between the ages of 20 and 23, 24 years old, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You hope they're not grave mistakes. You hope they're not prison mistakes or mistakes that could get someone close to you hurt or mistakes that can cost you your career. But people around here have seen Charles Rogers. They've seen other people who had such high expectations, such high talent levels, crash and burn. And not just here in Detroit, but just around the NFL period. We've seen players just as talented, if not more talented than him, who fizzled out really quick. You know, this league doesn't need you. You're not the only 4.25 or 4.2 flat that's ever came through this league, man. And I think a lot of these players, they get to the league and they feel like they made it. I'm here. My mom's good. My brother's good. My homie's good. Everybody's good around me. I'm good. I'm eating good. Everybody's driving good. And no, you realize, when things start to go bad, when it rains, it pours. And like I said, we've seen some players flush out really quick in this league. And like I said, I root for him because I don't think he's a piece of trash.
Yeah.
Like we've seen some players in the past where it's like, this dude is not a good dude. And remember all the issues, and some of y'all may not remember this. I might be dating myself here. But Lawrence Phillips, that played for the Los Angeles Rams, remember Dick Vermeil? And Dick Vermeil was like one of the nicest human beings you will ever run across. He believed in Lawrence Phillips. He believed that he could change Lawrence Phillips. He believed that he said himself that he believed Lawrence Phillips was misguided, was misunderstood, and he just needed a family structure. He had anybody who knows Lawrence Phillips or the issues with Lawrence Phillips, that dude had a rough upbringing. And Dick Vermeil felt that he could change that. And when Lawrence got to the league, Lawrence had issue after issue after issue, and Lawrence washed out quick.
Yeah.
And this is a dude who actually was maybe a worser person. Rest in peace. But like I said, J-Mo just has to grow up, man. You got to grow up. You have to understand this. Remember when we were that age and your parents couldn't tell you nothing? Where are you at right now? Oh, I'm at Coney Island. It's 2:00 in the morning. Oh, I'm leaving this bar. I'm leaving a strip club. Why are you out that time of night? Well, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm with my brother. I'm with my friends. We're good. We're fine. Everybody doesn't make it home in those situations, man. And I just want him to realize that you got a lot that's standing in front of you right now. Family's depending on you. You should be depending on you to be better. And it's not just about having fun. You're in the league right now, man. And I want to see you. Everybody up here wants to see you have a long, prosperous career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Joe Chapp, final thoughts, and I'll get to mine.
Tony Dungy had this saying, and I love it because I think he's a really smart coach. I really think he's a really smart person in terms of the way he thinks sometimes. But he had this thing: if you stay out past 12, you're gonna have problems. If you go out with a chick that you don't know, you're gonna have problems. If you're drinking and driving, you're gonna have problems. And then the fourth one is if you bring a woman in your life and she's a bad person to bring in your life, you're also gonna have problems. I love it because that's exactly how it is. You shouldn't be out that late, in my opinion, because you never know. I don't care where you are. You could be in Livonia. You could be in Macomb Township. You could be anywhere. That late at night, you're asking for trouble.
Trouble finds you.
Trouble will find you because that late at night, that's what happens. And then the second thing is, his mom follows my page, Detroit Lions News, which is cool. But it seems like he has a really good family, from my perspective. I think he's a smart kid. I just don't think he uses his head sometimes. And I'm hoping that this is something like a wake up call. The last two instances are going to be a wake up call because I know they're not happy about it, and I know that his brother tried to cop to it. But look, I don't care what JMO does. I care about what JMO does because I like him as a person. In the reality of things, I don't care what any of the players do. I just want to win. That's my thing. But I do like JMO as a person, and I think he's a really fine individual. I just think sometimes he makes mistakes, he's made mistakes, and he needs to cut it out if he wants to continue his career. Your football career is more important than your credibility outside of football, in my opinion. That's what Tony Dungy used to say too. The streets don't care about your football career.
Yeah,
you gotta care about your football career, and that's exactly what I think. He's in a position that everyone is on the streets. Every bar that he goes to, they would kill to be in his position, and don't think they would come back to where they're from to say, "Oh, I'm gonna chill with the homies." No, you're not. They would leave right in a hot second. They'd be like, "No, I'm out," because then that's what that thing is. And I just need JMO to just grow up a little bit. Yeah. He's used bad decision making the last two times. I just need him to grow up because I like him as a person. Right. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying that.
Right. So yeah, to piggyback off this, and I want to address a comment here. Nick Roberts. No one here is a barracks lawyer. No one here went to Harvard. I don't think no one here went to Harvard, Stanford, or no one here was on a Harvard Law Review. If you want the expert lawyer opinion, talk to Obama, talk to one of them. I am not a lawyer. I never said I was. I am a streamer. I'm not Kai Cenat, but I'm up there. So we never said we knew the law. I just want to correct you. We never said that. We don't think he's in trouble. And after talking to my brother-in-law, thank you for the great points, guys, because Ted Rath, you said it was optics. Joe Chapp, you said it's personal accountability. And Walter Stringer, you made a plea to getting him right for his family, right? We talked about the holistic review of what actually matters, okay? His family, his life, not the homies. Not the homies, to Joe Chapp's point. You stay up late, da-da-da-da-da. All right? So we never said we was lawyers. So if you're looking for a lawyer, you better call Sam. Anyway, I just want
to address Nick's point. Shut the hell up. I got a CPL, bro. I know what the law is. I don't know the law to a lawyer's extent, but I know the law when you carry. So just shut up. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. No. All these people, they want to get on this damn computer.
No, Joe, relax. Joe Chapp gave his professional opinion. I love Joe Chapp's professional opinion. But I'm gonna calm down a little bit. yeah, because I don't want you to get a heart attack in no chair and down. I'm gonna have too many legal troubles after that, man.
I already went to the cop.
Come on, let's go. Let's talk about Rodrigo.
Hold on. I gotta get to my final point before you pop in. There we go. It's a communication issue here.
Nasty, man.
Yeah. So final thought for me is after talking to my brother-in-law who had the similar issue. This is a non-issue. The optics are bad, like Ted Rath said. I worry about his family and himself, as far as Walter said. And you got to count your money, as far as Joe said. We have to count their money because now Brad Holmes starts to have to make decisions, and you're going to be the last guy to get paid. So, I just say that, look, this little situation, you see this? This is a couple dollars, okay? This could go all the way with a couple dollars. You got the dollar. Hopefully Kim Worthy don't convict. She just gets you on some not an indictment. What do you call that? What do you call that?
Charge.
No. You don't want them charged. You want community service, public service. Yeah. Do more community service because he is a community service member. And I just want to say that. Okay. That's my final thought on JMO. That's our final thoughts on JMO. I'm not going to talk about JMO. I've been thinking about him all day. I've been thinking about him so much I couldn't enjoy my day today. I was very out of myself because I was worried about his case, if it's a case at all. I want to get to some injury news. Malcolm Rodriguez, rolled ankle, high ankle sprain, and I got the guy to do it. We got Ted Rath, health administrator, worked for Philadelphia Eagles. You didn't work with Green Bay, did you?
No. Nope.
Okay. Miami, right?
Miami, LA, and Detroit. Yep.
I knew it was a green team. I was about to say. So look, knew it was a team with some green in it. What's the difference between a high ankle sprain, low ankle sprain? Because Rodriguez kind of rolled his ankle, and then we seen Goff didn't practice today. I was concerned about that. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think first of all, I'll hit Jared because this is probably a little bit more simple. Most likely a really lateral ankle sprain is the most common ankle sprain that you can get. So the traditional one where your foot inverts and you get that lateral malleolus, that's the outside bone, that circular bone on the outside of your ankle, that gets rolled in and you kind of get the pain, the swelling, the inflammation there. He didn't miss any snaps, no meaningful snaps, so he didn't have to come out of the game. I really expect they're just trying to get some inflammation out. They probably got him going through some rehab protocols, flushing, massage, everything that they need to do to, once again, pump that swelling out. I think he'll be fine. And Jared, I love Jared. I had him as a player. He's one of my favorite guys. Mobility is not his game. He's going to be just fine. He'll stand in the pocket. He'll pick people apart with Ben Johnson calling the plays. They'll be fine. And then Rodrigo, I think when you look at this, there's a significant difference between a high ankle component and just your standard lateral ankle, whether it's inversion or eversion. So you're looking at the interosseous membrane, a bunch of tissue within the tibia and the fibula that gets disrupted. So when you have a true high ankle sprain, the tissue that's running between the bones really gets separated. So that's why you have this pliability and those bones begin to move. That's not a good thing. So if you're familiar, the players who have had tightrope surgeries, a typical healing from a high ankle could be anywhere from 4 weeks all the way up to 8+. So you look at this, why do some players, Alabama's kind of famous for it, they do the tightrope. So you essentially put a couple screws in through both of those bones. It brings those bones together so that that disrupted tissue can't allow the bones to move. Then you can come back in really an exacerbated rate. You can come back much quicker. What he's going to do, I don't think it's a true traditional bad high ankle. I think it's more probably low to intermediate. I don't think it's horrible. You typically grade injuries like this on a grade 1, 2, or 3. He's probably dealing with anywhere from a grade 1 all the way up to a grade 2. You're looking at a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, a typical time frame. A lot of it has to do with two things. Number one, the player's tolerance to pain. He seems like he's a tough player. He's going to try to play through it. And then you also look at the position. Rotation is going to be really bad if it's a true high ankle. Anytime you have to rotate, that thing will bite. The other thing to consider when you do come back from a high ankle and really any lateral ankle, any type of ankle sprain, there's been a damage to the ligament. So there's going to be at least one point in the game where you get caught, you get put into a precarious position, and it's going to bite. It's going to hurt. You're basically going to go, oh, crap, did I re-injure this thing? And it's going to hurt from anywhere from 2 minutes all the way up to 5-10 minutes. So is he going to miss a couple plays? That's what you have to look at. And when you're rehabbing these things, if it's just a traditional ankle sprain, you want movement. You want to get the swelling out as fast as possible, but then you really want to get on that thing and start working through it because you don't want a lot of scar tissue to develop because that can inhibit and that can actually reduce your range of motion long term. So the Lions medical staff is on all this. They're working their way through it. They're probably working their butts off right now. I think he'll be okay. It sounds like good news from everything that I've heard and everything that I've seen online. So I think he should be all right and probably avoided one of those longer term, really bad high ankle sprains.
Okay.
Whoa, Ted, don't discount mobile Goff, okay?
He can move when he needs to.
Mobile Goff is making a cut. He's hit the over like 4 times this year.
Hey, Jared's awesome. I'll say this. I'm more on the other side of the ball because Jordan Love, it's going to be tough for him to go, I think. And if he does, this will impact him 10 times more than I would be worried.
That's what I want to ask, yeah.
I mean, from a groin standpoint, here's the other consideration. When you look at Jordan, I'm almost positive it's on his left side, so he's dealing with a left groin. He's still wearing that knee brace from early on. It was the game against the Eagles.
That's a good point. Wow.
So he's wearing those MCL braces because you're talking about that lateral movement for the knee. That knee joint, you're trying to stabilize. That's a heavy brace. And it changes your biomechanics. So everything that Jordan's doing right now, with that on top of a soft tissue injury for a quarterback, that's going to affect his ability to run because his mobility is definitely not going to be there. And every time he steps into a throw, there's a rotation that happens. There's a dissociation through the hips. He has to rotate, and then he has to stop and decelerate his body weight. That groin will be impacted. So I don't think this is a small injury. He didn't practice today. I don't know if he'll practice all week, but this injury will definitely impact Jordan Love.
Yeah, I was interested to hear your point on that because I was a goalie in hockey. So anytime you get a groin injury and as a goalie, you're kind of screwed and you're not playing because the rotation of your body. And it was interesting what you just brought up about the rotation of the body and how your body weight goes forward. that's the interesting thing about it, because I was going to ask about Jordan Love, because like being a quarterback, people don't think about it. Like you do use your groin, you do use a lot of your lower half, you know, and he's already injured on that MCL, like you just said. So that's why I was going to ask it.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And Zach J, I saw your comment there. Jared Goff's cleats from LA. We actually made Jared sprint. So I would do sprint training with him once a week. I would actually do it with him. I'd run with him. So we topped off and we would hit at least 90% of his max velocity once a week. My reason for this, from a training perspective and from really pre-acclimation for the tissue, more so from a hamstring, hip flexor, quadricep, when you want to avoid some of those soft tissue injuries for a quarterback who's not hypermobile and they don't run a lot, you might have to run. So if Jared was asked at some point, if he has to run for a first down in a game-changing play, we had to make sure that his tissue was adequately prepared. So I've had my kickers, my punters. That's just one of the things that I do from a philosophy standpoint. So we actually did it. He would hit close to 19 miles an hour. So Jared has athletic ability in there. But going back to your point, Joe, I think you do look at it. That is not an insignificant injury. I'm concerned. If I'm Jordan Love or if I'm in that Green Bay Packers locker room, I'm concerned because, number one, Matt LaFleur is a great play caller. He's going to do well. There's actually some stuff I saw today on a different call with a bunch of NFL guys about condensed formations. Matt LaFleur is a brilliant play caller. Whether it's whoever it is, he's going to find a way to put him in good positions. But does Jordan Love make it absolutely easier? Yes. So if you have to game plan around lack of mobility, and now if he's going to have a little bit of pain every time he's throwing and has to step into a throw that he has to drive down the field, that's a big consideration.
He's going to become an arm thrower for the most part. He has no base.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you talking about in case of Jordan Love or Jared Goff has no base?
No, Love.
Jordan Love.
Oh, okay.
Because Jordan Love has that groin injury, and that's. I was interested to hear what Ted had to say about that, because when you talk about a quarterback, like they're using their whole body to get the ball going. So like it's funny because like it's like kind of like a pitcher in baseball. Like if you've ever played pitcher in baseball, yeah, you're using your arm mostly, but you're using your whole body. So if anything on your body is kind of like, you know, not is hurting or something, it affects your throw. It affects the way that you get the ball off. And sometimes if you're hurt in the right and you throw it the right way, throw it the wrong way, you're looking at a potentially like it's where it costs you like an interception for Jordan Love or something like that, because he couldn't get the right strength on it. So that's what I was interested to ask Ted, because that's something everyone should know, because I mean groin injuries are not this easy injury to get over. I think Ted could agree to that.
You made a great point, Joe, because the kinematic sequence of a quarterback, you look at exactly like you would a pitcher. We actually do biomechanically, we bring in high-speed cameras and we look at everything. We look at their sequencing. When is your hip collision happening? At what point do you press off of your back foot, your drive foot? You should have a flat foot to create that base, to create the force. And then you have to decelerate all that force. That's a tremendous, you're talking about thousands of pounds of force that have to get decelerated through your plant leg. So now that's his left leg, and there's a rotation that goes across that. So as his body rotates, timing's going to impact. So, Joe, you just made a great point. Could it lead to an absolutely, because if he's throwing with his arm and he's changing his complete mechanical bias, he's going to be off timing. So now the receiver's a step behind or a step in front. Now the defender, especially when you're talking about the safeties for the Lions right now, that's Branch getting another pick six. That's a huge component to this game. And then the other side of this, he won't have the velocity because he's not going to be able to drive it. It's going to be uncomfortable. So you look at all the things, the mobility and the throwing tempo, it's going to impact everything. So I mean, this is not a small injury for Jordan.
Yeah. I wasn't banking on Jordan to be in the game. I was actually banking on more of Malik Willis to get some action in the game. Obviously, I don't know if I haven't seen the injury report yet, but I believe that it's going to be probably a questionable, maybe doubtful, and be upgraded to questionable, maybe a game time decision. But personally, from a scheme perspective, I'm worried about both of them. When it comes to the Green Bay game at Green Bay, I'm worried about both of them. I only worry about both of them because Malik Willis has come out and won 3 games, right? He has come out and won 3 games. One game, which was very impressive, where he had 225 yards. The guy was slinging the ball. Okay, so I'm more worried about just from a scheme perspective ineffective. I didn't count Jordan Love in this game because of the growing injury, and I just feel like Jordan Love has some bad juju with these injuries today because his injury before was scary enough, and now he's dealing with a lagging growing injury. You said that could last up to 4 weeks?
Depending on the severity. So I don't know the grading of it. If it's a grade 1, he'll get over it probably in a couple weeks. If it's a grade 2 plus, definitely a more significant injury. They're probably being a little bit more protective with him because of the knee and because of the multiple injuries at this point. So without knowing the exact grade, I can't give you a true timeline. Anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks, all the way up to 4 to 6 weeks. But I would have assumed they would have IR'd him if that was a grade 2 plus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Walter, you got any questions in regards to the Malcolm Rodriguez, Jordan Love, or Jared Goff injury?
No, I just overall, I think as sports fans in general, we need to understand how important your base is to everything. Whether you're talking about being a quarterback, how important your base is to being a boxer, everything, all of your power, your explosion starts in your lower body.
Yep.
Even in boxing, if you have no snap, you have no pop, you have no torque in your lower body, you're just an arm puncher. Now, can you still knock people out as an arm puncher? Yeah, you can be strong as hell, but if you don't have that right torque and you can't place that punch the way you really want to place it, it's just an arm punch somebody can walk through, somebody can actually take. Same thing with as a football player, as a quarterback. Like, if you can't open those hips up, everything starts from the ankles to the thighs to the everything, all of it. And if you can't open those hips up and actually power that football, that was something I always believed Stafford did as good, if not better, than anybody. Him and Brett Favre, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it came time to open their hips up, the football was flying out of there, and it wasn't just completely an arm throw. Even though Stafford has the power in his arm, but everything started with him in his base. And if you don't have a base, and you look at Jordan Love, man, even before the injury, like Love was turning the ball over. He had a pick in every game this season.
Ah, man, I hope he plays.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's, the growing thing, man, you talk about, and I wanted to ask Ted this too, and we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
Shin splints.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about shin splints, high ankle sprains, low ankle sprains. Track athletes tend to get these a lot as well. So what is the major difference? Because I know when I ran track in high school, when I had shin splints, those shin splints murdered me, man, for the entire indoor track season. Bad. Like the only way to really heal from them, if you're not going to get surgery, and as a 17-year-old kid, I wasn't getting surgery, you have to really lay off.
Yep.
And as an athlete, whether you're running track, playing football or whatever, when the hell do you get time to lay off? So there's still track practice every single day. You got to go out there and tough it out with those splints. So what is the difference really between like shin splints and high ankle sprains?
Yeah, good question. Shin splints, different area. So anatomically, when you look at it, you're looking up the chain, up the kinetic chain. When you're looking at a true ankle, it's that malleolus. It's the ligaments that hold the ankle and basically support it into the foot. So you're looking at a lot of musculature, a lot of bone, a lot of ligament around the ankle and the foot area. Travel up, you look at the anterior tibialis, the posterior tibialis. Those are typically the muscles that get basically disrupted. So when you have true shin splints, you're dealing with muscular breakdown because typically you're having an imbalance. If you look at your calf, you have the gastroc and you have the soleus. You have those two big meaty muscles on the back of the calf that everybody sees like those teardrops. If you look at the front, your shin, if you pull your toes up, we call that plantar flexion. So you pull your toes up, you can feel a big muscle on the front of your shin. That's your anterior tibialis. You have one deeper superficial muscle, your posterior tibialis. Those are the muscles that have to support. So when your foot strikes, if you're striking progressively and you're running, you're sprinting like you would in track, you're really stabilizing through those muscles. But it's almost like that co-contraction between your quadriceps and your hamstrings. Your quads are composed of 4 muscles, hamstring 3. So your quads can easily overpower your hamstrings. Very similar on the calf. It's just reversed. You look at the backside, it's that gastroc and the soleus combination. And then you look at the front side, it's those smaller muscles that are the stabilizer. Those are the ones that break down. When you get that true ankle sprain, whether it's high, traditional lateral ankle, it's literally the ligaments getting stressed and getting pulled apart, torn apart. That's kind of the injury differential there. And I think it's really unique because when you look at that, Shin splints, overuse injury. If you're a high school athlete, if you don't rest them, they're not going to get better. The other side of it, ankle, you also need rest, but there are rehab modalities that you can go through that will help that speed up, and you can get through that process.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. I have one more question for Ted Rath in regards to the injury itself. With Jared Goff. Matter of fact, it's not even towards the injury. It's towards Jared as a person. What was Jared like as a person when you were trying to get him in that top speed and that training, when you were trying to work with him? What was he like in LA with you?
Jared's a dream athlete. I think I can't say enough good things about Jared. I made the point last week on the call how we were on an airplane one time. Our families were there. Jared was the guy up, and this was midnight or 1 a.m. Jared came back because my kids were on the plane and a couple other staff members. He literally came back to play with the kids. He could have been up front sleeping. He came back because he knew the kids were stressed out and things like that. That's the type of quality person he is. So when you're asking him to do things training-wise, he'll ask questions. He's like, all right, explain the why. You explain the why, and he's always in. I love that because for me, I always want players to understand the why. Why are we doing a certain thing at practice? Why are we sprinting? Well, Jared, here's why. This is injury prevention, but also we're trying to ramp up your high-speed abilities and your repeat sprint ability because this is going to benefit you in the fourth quarter in week 17 when we're trying to clinch the number 1 seed and we're trying to go in and get a bye week. Here's what we have to be prepared for at all times. He's awesome that way. So I can't say enough good things about Jared. The other thing Walt mentioned too, from a biomechanical standpoint, Stafford, yeah, probably one of the best arm talents, if not the best I've ever been around. Aaron Rodgers is like that. The guys – but when you look at their total body, it is a total body complex movement because force starts at the ground and all these guys go. There's a guy, Tom House was the one that was famous. He became this quarterback guru. He's out in California. He's having some health stuff. So Tom doesn't do a lot of it. A guy named Adam Dato does. Taylor Kelly, there's a couple of guys. So I've worked with those guys, with Matthew Stafford, with Jared Goff, with Jalen Hurts. I've actually sent these guys out there in the offseason. So they train out of Southern California and they work on those biomechanical movements because they're trying to sharpen up the arm pass, the arm slots, and how you can actually schedule off-timing throws, similar to what we were just talking about Jordan Love. If you don't have some of that training, when you do get injured, it's really hard to really adjust your throw path. So if your arm slot can't change, that's part of arm talent. And Jared has really good arm talent. He's not talked about a lot there, sometimes because he doesn't have the velocity of a Matthew Stafford or some of those guys. But look at his accuracy. This guy is completing, 74+%?
Yeah,
I mean,
83%.
He's incredible. So I think I can't say enough good things about Jared. I got long-winded, but Jared's awesome, man. I love that guy.
No, I love the long-windedness. I love the in-depth stuff. That's why we know we got good people on. We got Walt, we got Joe Chapp. Matter of fact, did I get to you, Joe Chapp? I got to you in this situation, right? And we got Darcy.
Yeah, me and Ted were talking about the way that the groin could affect the throw and everything. But let me just say this one thing. Yeah, I think when you look at Jared Goff, how his injury is, and Malcolm Rodriguez's injury, I think Malcolm's it hurts a little bit more because we're already missing Derek Barnes. So now you got to go down to Trevor Nowatzki, who I do like Trevor. He is a Canton native. He is a Saginaw Valley State kid, but you're getting low on the depth chart for linebacker. It's getting very, very how do you say it? I don't really think you can really afford another injury like that. You really can't. There's not many teams that can afford 3 linebackers that go down at a starting level. That's just the way this league rolls. I mean, Ted could talk about it too. You lose 3 people in a certain spot, you're gonna get screwed. And Aaron Glenn's doing a marvelous job because he's lost 3 on the defensive line, Kaminsky, Hutch, and Davenport. He's lost 3 in the linebacker position with Barnes, Rodrigo, and then there's another one. He's lost 2. So the front 7's getting beat to shreds. So they're gonna have to make a move, but they can't afford another injury for sure.
I think that that's a great segue for my next point. I don't know, Ted Rath. I don't know if you're in the waiver wire trade space, but the Lions have been in the trade space. Walt knows. Me and Walt have debated. Me and Joe Chapp have debated about this. It's going to be another official debate here on Spirit of Detroit podcast. It's just going to be another one. But Ted Rath, to Joe Chapp's point, what are we going to make a move? And how much is the move? I waited up all night. I didn't get no sleep all night. Okay. So wait for a move in the middle of the night just to report the news. Do you anticipate or theorize or posit, whatever action word you want to use, if you action words to dictate a trade or anything that Brad Holmes can do to help out this front seven?
Brad Holmes will do it when he wants, when I'm not able to do something. So that's when he'll do it.
And lead the force. I'm sorry, Joe. I just gotta go with Ted. My bad.
If you're going in, I think you got to look at what Aaron Glenn's probably doing in that building. If I'm Aaron Glenn, I am literally camped outside of Brad's office, and I'm like, hey Brad. I'm making. Walt just made the point. He's doing an incredible job. So sometimes that almost makes it slow play the situation. So Brad's thinking, no, you're getting it done. But I know Brad. Brad he has urgency in him. And all the great general managers that I've worked with and been around in this league, they have that same quality. Brad is urgently searching for whatever's going to give them the best chance to win now, but he's also thinking long-term, because you have to. If you're in a general manager seat, you have to think immediate right now, this week, this season, this Super Bowl, but you do have to think the 3 to 5 year plan. So I think he's thinking about all those things. So you look at a Zadarius Smith and you look at, all right, what's his contract situation? He's owed a lot of money next year, but you do lock him up for an additional year. So now you get Hutch back and you have this dynamic combination of guys on the edge. Do you shoot your shot? They've already said Max Crosby, they're not going to trade him. I mean, that would be awesome to get him back, being a Eastern Michigan guy. Do you go after a Myles Garrett? Do you try the home run shot and shoot at a team that's already kind of out of contention this year? I do think Brad will make a move. If I had to guess, I think Dan Campbell's probably asking for it. I think Aaron Glenn definitely is asking for it. He's doing a great job right now with what he has, but the season is what it is. If you're going to continue to lose guys and Hutch is out for the year, at some point, if you're going to try to win a Super Bowl, you have to look at all those factors. You look at the quarterback and who impacts the quarterback. That's the guys up front that are getting after the quarterback, and that's the quarterback itself. So you got to look at both those dynamic features.
Yeah, Walt, what do you got for that? I love that answer, Ted Rath. You got to look at the features. I just looked at the film of last week. I'm going to have a film study video coming out later today, later tonight. Maybe you'll see it in the morning, guys. But Walt, I'm gonna give you and Joe Chapp the final thoughts before I speak on this defensive line. This front seven is, I don't want to say decimated. I think that term is overused and overstated. Yeah. But give me your thoughts on this front seven of the Detroit Lions.
My thoughts? Well, I'm gonna start with the something that people haven't really talked about enough since Hutchinson went down in that Cowboy game, and that's the fact that the run defense has kind of went to crap since he's been out as well. Davenport being 6'6", 270, him not being there hurts not only the pass rush game, but also the run defense, especially on the outside. Not having those two dudes, not having Barnes, that hurts tremendously. Also, I want to give a shout out to the defensive tackles. I think Aleem McNeil as well as DJ Reader, guys like Mekhi Wingo, Levi, and Wuzurike, those guys with the edge rushers being out, AG has had to demand more of them pass rush wise, which in return has kind of hampered the defensive line when it comes to the run defense. So I think that's also part of the explanation why the run defense has been kind of crappy. At least not yardage wise, but we have been giving up touchdowns. Well, not touchdowns, but we have been giving up the yards. I will say this. I'm more in the camp of, we got guys coming back along the defensive line and Broderick Martin, hopefully Kaminsky in a few weeks. When the Hutchinson injury happened, the first thing that crossed my mind, and I know I can't be too far off because Dan Campbell turned around the very next day, Monday, and kind of said all the things I said. People are just clamoring over a pass rusher. They need people with versatility. And the first thing that popped in my mind was, okay, you know what? We need a linebacker, a guy who can play off-ball linebacker / edge, and we need a big defensive end to help in a run game. Because as much as people are upset about the pass rush or lack thereof, we're still good on the back end. We're still getting the takeaways. You don't want to be soft. And I think this is where people lose context of what football really is. You can be sexy and rush the passer all you want, but if you can't stop the run, you're soft. And if you can't stop the run, that's the number one key that teams will take your soul. Teams will look at Detroit and say, oh, well, y'all hot when it comes to pass defense and you're taking the ball away. We'll just run the ball on y'all now because we can. And you think teams won't look at Detroit and run the ball on them if the moment they find a weakness in us, because right now, and Lamar, you and I discussed this yesterday.
Yeah.
This team is hot. They're white hot right now. They looking kind of invincible. They're beating people to death.
Yeah.
Once teams figure out a chink in that armor, every team after that, week after week, is going to start chipping away at it. So you do need to go out and make a move. I think they need to make 2 moves. I don't think it has to be a big splash move. I think they need to get 2 people in here. And for all we know, Isaiah Thomas may be one of them. He wasn't great in his first game, but he made an impact. He was out there. If you go out and you get a linebacker, doesn't have to be an A+ player. He can be a C+ player. He can be a B- player. We need 2 guys to come in here and jump into what we have right now and contribute to what we already have. That's it. We don't need to sacrifice a bunch of draft picks. We don't need to sacrifice a big chunk of our salary cap for a $30 million edge rusher to pair with. One of my best friends explained this to me. Aiden Hutchinson is the Crosby. Aiden Hutchinson is the superstar. He didn't die. I want fans to understand this. He didn't die. The guy suffered an ACL injury. He's coming back next year. We don't have to scrap this entire team and toss everything up in the air because now we're panicking because Aiden is no longer there. This team, as currently constructed, is good enough to win the NFC. Well, now, once you start talking about who we match up better with, whether it's Kansas City or Baltimore, if you believe in Baltimore, or Cincinnati, or whoever, the Pittsburgh, whoever may come out, Buffalo, who we will see in a few weeks, we match up well with any of those teams. Now, you're going to give the Chiefs the cachet. They have the Hall of Fame coach. They have the coordinators, the defensive coordinators. They have probably the best defensive tackle in football in Chris Jones. They have Patrick Mahomes, who doesn't turn the ball over in the playoffs. He's kind of like the modern-day Joe Montana, honestly. He's money, just with more physical talent. But I think this team as currently constructed, Lions fans are sleeping on their own team. I think this team as currently constructed can make it to the Super Bowl and can win it. And I made the comparison between this team and the 2009-2010 New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
And how close those 2 teams were statistically in takeaways, rushing yards given up, passing yards, points given up. These teams were damn near identical, and that team went on to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Joe Chapp, talk to me, brother, because I have a totally opposite view of Walter. I'm a little more dire of a fan. You gotta talk some sense into me, and let me see if I got to debate 2 people here.
Let's just look at it from this perspective. Last week, Tony Pollard had 20 attempts. He had 94 yards. You'll take that any day of the week because honestly, they're not going to beat you through the air, and they're going to run the ball a lot. That's what it is. A lot of quarterback rushing yards, which is just becoming a problem. Even Sam Darnold had some quarterback rushing yards, and you can kind of see where that's coming from in terms of the defensive ends. So I agree with Ted Rath. You know, when you look at this team, one of the issues that they have right now is the defensive end. That's their main issue. I think defensive tackle in the trench in the middle of the defense, I think they're fine. Jack Campbell, DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, they're proven to be pretty formidable. A lot of the runs that Detroit has given up is going to the outside. So that's what they're doing right now. So it's because of the defensive end. The second part about it is you need a pass rush. I think they only had 1 sack last week, which isn't going to get it done. I think they had like 10 pressures last week, which isn't really going to get it done. But you do have 2 elite safeties back there that can make plays. So here's the thing. If you get a defensive end, you're not going to get Max Crosby. That's not going to happen because the reality is, why would the Raiders sell their only chip that they have for season tickets? That's the reality of it. So you're going to go after a Darius Smith, maybe a Carl Granderson, maybe a Harold Landry, Arden Key, someone like that. But you're going to need maybe 2 of them, like Walt said. So I look at it like this. I think they're good enough because I think when your offense is as good as the Detroit Lions, it helps your defense out. Your defense isn't on the field as much. Your defense doesn't get worn out as much, and they can go out there and play. If the Lions' offense wasn't as good as it is, you'd have huge issues. But the Lions' offense is really good.
Yeah. I think that I think first and foremost, before I preface this, well, I have to preface this with this. All right. You guys are great commentators. All right. So anybody who's not subscribed to them or anybody who's not following them on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter is doing themselves a disservice. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, okay, I am done with the great value defensive ends. I was watching tape the other day, breaking down plays. I was going to put out the video today, but I didn't want to rush it. Okay. I was going to put it out yesterday, but we got JMO news. So it got pushed on the back burner. The tape of what I'm seeing a lot of things me and Walt said a week ago. I'm seeing a wide 9 formation. I'm seeing people come from the edges. I'm seeing, practice squad players like Muhammad, compete, and they're just like a second late in terms of getting to the quarterback. I'm seeing a lot of different things. One thing I am not seeing your 3rd round pick, Broderick Martin. I'm seeing Mekhi Wingo. That's great. But I'm not seeing pressure on a consistent basis. Another thing I'm seeing 5 guys lined up at the line of scrimmage just for gap containment, just to align with their gaps, respectively. Whether it's a gap and a half system like we've been running or it's a 2-gap system, I'm seeing 4 or 5 in the box. No, I mean 8 in the box. 4 guys at the line and 1 guy creeping up, whether it's a linebacker of Anzalone or whether it's not Malcolm, but Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell or Nowoski.
Exactly. Campbell or Nowoski. So I'm seeing this and I'm like, okay, we're trying and we got the horses in the stable to do so, but I'm not seeing the pressure become available. Key point. 5 sacks. We have yet to get 5 sacks since Aiden Hutchinson's been out. He leads the team in sacks and he hasn't played in 2 games. And he's had a bye week. My concern is that you might need that star player. I'm not the guy to tell you need that star player. I hate that. I hate the fact that I have to agree with guys like Lion Syndicate, Micro Mike, my competition. I have to agree with them. I don't see it on the field. It's going to take a while to get these guys from the practice squad up to speed. I don't know. Ted Rath, can you give me some shining light? Because I think we need 3 guys. Okay. we might need America, as they say at church. We might need America. Okay.
You make great points, Lamar, because I think number one, when you talked about, gap integrity, you're talking about basically discipline. So defensive line, they have a commitment, they have a job to do, and that's really maintain integrity and leverage within whatever their gaps are. Why? Because when you talk about specifically not just them, but behind them, you're talking about the full front 7. Now you're talking about a linebacker crew where you might be missing 1 or 2 guys and you're playing back end guys there. They have to depend on that front 4, front 3, front 5, whatever alignment you're in, because if those guys don't have integrity and they're not being disciplined within their gaps, those linebackers can't flow and they cannot stop the run. So you look at this isn't just a splash play. We got to pressure the quarterback. This is also those linebackers. They're going to flow. They're going to flow based on what that defensive line is doing. So 2 factors there. Number 1, the run game is heavily impacted because of that integrity. And then number 2, you have to pressure the quarterback. I just said it a minute ago. How do you win games in the National Football League? You have a dominant quarterback who's throwing accurately. You need good skill position players to get the ball to, but it's the quarterback. And then on the defensive side, how do you impact? You go after the quarterback. You have to pressure him. How do you do that? You have to have a dynamic player on the front who can consistently be in that player's head, because if the quarterback is looking across the line and there's like, oh crap, this guy's going to hit me again. This guy's coming at me. I don't know if I can depend on my tackle to block this guy. That is such a huge part of a game. That the mental concept that goes through an NFL quarterback's head, I think people don't talk about enough, because if you get in their head with a player like Aiden Hutchinson or a player that can come after you like a Max Crosby, that gets into that quarterback's head, and that's going to impact the game.
Okay.
Let me just say something real quick. I know we got to move on and we're going to the last segment and everything, but let me just say this. You said something about star players, Avery. I've
I
heard
need a
people.
star and a half. I need a
I've
star and a half.
Okay, you're not gonna get a star. So let me just start there. Not gonna get a star. So just.
I need a moon, a
No,
waning crescent.
just
I need a
just take your start. I know a lot of you Lions fans are addicted to draft day philosophies, and you're addicted to fantasy trades and fantasy. You know, oh, we're gonna get this guy. Stop it. The Detroit Lions do have 2 superstars. I mean, at least one superstar on the defense, in my opinion, and it's Brian Branch. And you could say it could be Kirby Joseph too. So there is stars on this defense. On the front line, you're not going to replace Aiden Hutchinson. Let's stop it right there. This is what makes Aaron Glenn so valuable. He has to really game plan for every single portion of the game because they don't have that horse. So they're going to have to generate pressure somehow, some way, and they're going to get someone in the trade. I know they're going to do that. Who it is, what it is, when it is, I don't know. But they have the horses to keep them in stable.
I got you. And I respect your point. And you're right. We're not going to get a star. And my final point on it is this. We're probably not going to get a star. Here's the final point. First and foremost, when I seen the wide 9 technique is almost a cheat code. All right. And when I seen that defensive line still didn't get home, now the wide 9 technique is going out to the 9 tech, being one-on-one on a tackle, it force those tackles to be one-on-one, kind of stretch their blocking assignments a little bit, and it gives that defensive end a running start. Okay, I want you to imagine coming at a quarterback in a running start. When I seen you couldn't get home in a running start, I was worried. And I've been a proponent of using the wide 9 for 3 years here. I've been a proponent of that. We have guys like James Houston. We have guys like they're all gone. But I've been a proponent of scheme this up. And when I seen the great value Detroit Lions defensive line, I was like, I like Nowaski. He's got some talent. I feel like, that Sam linebacker, that defensive end, that quasi type of player, the Lions have found him in Nowaski. I can't say nothing bad about him. But if Aleem doesn't play well, if Reader doesn't play well, those edges on the outside, I'm very concerned, especially the run fit. I'm very concerned because there were some holes that we were seeing that shouldn't have been there. I know I can't complain about a 52-14 win. I can't complain. All right. We decimated them with special teams, trick plays, everything. And I would be remiss to say that Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, I would be remiss to say if they did a great job, phenomenal job. We took care of a potential trap game. We took care of this whole thing. All right. We took care of them. But Green Bay is going to try to expose this. Houston is going to try to expose this. Better teams with better philosophies and better understandings. Tennessee doesn't know who they are. We got that Tennessee game in our belt. And you know what we said? Let's go to dinner. Let's go to Ponderosa. That's what we said. Okay. Ponderosa don't even exist anymore, bro. It don't even exist anymore. Let's get something.
Man, I'm gonna just say this about the defense. And Lamar, you and I discussed this a couple days ago and I asked you, going through the Lions film, how much stunning did you really see along that defensive line? Because we don't have that much size. Nope. DJ Reader's 6'1.5", he's 3-something. Aleem is 6'2.5", he's 3-something. Then you got guys like Josh Pascal, Levi, and Wuzarike. The other Mingo, Makai Mingo. Those guys are roughly kind of like in the same category, 6'1", 6'2", 283 to maybe 290. A big problem I did notice with them defensively, you don't want to keep big bodies on those guys. So they're meaning that you don't want to just keep those guys with their hands in the dirt going up against these guards who are 3 to 4 inches taller. These guards also outweigh them by 15, 20, 30 pounds in some cases. These are pass rushing guys other than Josh Pascal. Josh Pascal overall, he's a defensive rotational guy that can play the run for multiple techniques. But you have to be able to take these guys and put them in situations where their skill sets can flourish. None of these guys can flourish putting them with their hands in the dirt at 1 tech, 2 tech, 3 tech all the time, telling them to fight offensive guards and fight tackles all day. We kept talking about the stunts. The stunts. If you look at what Mike McDonald did with Baltimore last year, even at Michigan for that matter, he didn't get all of those sacks. He didn't lead the league in sacks a year ago because he had a bunch of sexy name pass rushers. He did it with scheme. He did it with stunts. He did it with fire zones. He did it with confusion. If you don't have the physical talent on the defensive line, you have to get it done with confusion. You have to figure out a way to get to the quarterback. I don't want anybody to think that I don't believe that or I'm against that.
Oh, yeah.
You have to figure out a way to get to the quarterback because at some point in time, even the most average quarterback can jump up and bite you in one game. And you wonder, like, damn, how do we lose to this team like that? Now, do I believe, well, not necessarily Anthony Richardson, he's been benched, but do I believe Joe Flacco or Trevor Lawrence, well, Mason Rudolph couldn't do it. Do I believe either one of those guys could do it? I don't believe Malik Willis can do it. If we talking about just dropping back and just beating us from the pocket, no, I don't believe that's going to happen. And we've discussed even Houston and C.J. Stroud. They've got their own issues. And the Lions have caught some breaks this season with some of these teams we played and the injuries that they've had going on. So I think that also has to be taken into account. Everybody's concerned about or waiting for this next shoe to drop. Yeah, we won this game, but wait till the next game. We might lose that one. And then as soon as we lose, it's going to be, see, I told you, the pass rush, I told you.
Don't knock my hustle. I'm a professional fearmonger. Don't knock my hustle. Okay? All right?
I'm just saying, man, listen, if you look at the way the schedule plays itself out, who are we really worried about? Like, even in the playoffs, let's say we run across Philadelphia. Are we worried about Jalen Hurts necessarily beating us from the pocket?
No, because Nick Sirianni is a bum. There you go.
He's about to insult everybody on this show.
Let's ask that.
You got ties to the
That's a
Eagles and
great
stuff? He didn't mean that. He didn't mean it. He's not trying to mess up your bag, man. He's not trying to.
I ain't messing up his bag. I'm saying there's only one guy that yells at the fans and then brings his kid to the presser. We'll leave that where it is.
Take it easy on me. I got my kid with me.
Get you a Bitcoin IRA, and then just call it a day. We gonna make it bad for you this whole go round.
J-Mo might want to adopt a kid.
You're gonna start bringing a random kid to all his pressers.
So I asked the question: what is the most memorable moment for the Detroit Lions from all your podcasters, good or bad? Talk about it.
No, absolutely.
Oh, man. So good. I'm going to start with good. This was 2015. This was a year after Jim Caldwell came in 2014. We won 11 games. We were in contention, almost won the division, got robbed at the Dallas Cowboys game. So fast forward, we're in the middle of the 15 season, and it starts horribly. We start out literally 0-5. We go 0-5, and then we finally win one game in our first 8 going into our bye week. We're 1-7. We play a game in London for that 8th game. We travel to London. We fire our offensive line coach, assistant offensive line coach, and our offensive coordinator before we get on the plane. They already had their luggage checked. So they pulled it off, and they didn't travel with us. We get to London. I get told, hey, Ted, you're going to help with special teams now. You're going to be on the headset on game day because we're doing some staff reshuffling. So I became the assistant special teams coach on top of my regular duties. So I'm in London. I'm like, all right, let's go. So now I'm in special teams meetings. I'm helping. I'm doing whatever I can. We get blown out by the Kansas City Chiefs, and we go into our bye. Then we fire Tom Lewan, Martin Mayhew, our president, our general manager at the time. We come back, and our next game is against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. At that point, we had been to Lambeau several times. The Detroit Lions had not won since 1991. This is 2015. This is my second game on a headset as a coach, and I'm going through everything. We beat them. It was a disgusting score. It's like 18-16. It wasn't anything sexy. It wasn't anything like memorable from that standpoint, but we won. And I remember everyone looking around like, oh, let's go. We're turning the season around. We're going to finish strong. This is Detroit. This is how we handle things. We're blue collar. Like, screw this. Let's go. No one thinks we can do anything. And we go on a little bit of a roll. Unfortunately, a few weeks later, we had played Thanksgiving, and then we're playing a Thursday night football game, and Green Bay comes to town, Ford Field. What is it? It's the freaking Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary. We're going through, we have the game locked up, 23-21 or 23-20. We have literally one game left, one play left, and they're on their 30. I think they were minus 30 or minus 25, 27. And Devin Taylor, great dude, player from South Carolina. They run a hook and ladder. The ball bounces around. It gets back to Aaron Rodgers. He barely clips his face mask with a thumb, really tackles him by the shoulder pad. They throw the flag. So they get one untimed down, and they snap it from around the 40-yard line. They freaking complete a Hail Mary to Richard Rodgers, who I later coached in Philadelphia. Rich is a great dude, and I told him how pissed I was at him. Literally the first day I met him, I said, bro, I will never forgive you. And I've talked to Aaron after this too. I'm like, hey, yeah, I worked the Lions. I was like, go F yourself. And I'm not proud of that. You're welcome. So I literally, like, the highs of the highs. We won for the first time in 24 years at Lambeau Field, and there's no better place in the NFL to win on the road. That's just a historic stadium. And then they came home a couple weeks later, and we literally got just our souls ripped out. And we ended up going 6-2 on the last 8 games with that embarrassment, because we should have won that game. So you really look at it, we flipped the season around. Jim Caldwell did an amazing job. He's a phenomenal leader. I love that man too. So I think from that standpoint, those are two memorable ones for me. One good, one bad.
Okay. Let's go Walt next, and then Joe Chapp, and then I guess Darcy wants to get in later, but you can get in after me, man. Let's go.
I'll get in.
Oh, okay, you got it.
So on me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the worst, because I was born and raised in a very, very ugly, grimy, seedy, slimy era of Lions football. Yep, that one right there. We can go back to 1994. I was 11 years old. NFC wildcard game. I remember I was in Sears. I don't know how many people out there remember Sears. I was in Sears with my mother. She was in there buying the TV. You remember, anybody remember those type of stores back in the day? You had 15, 20 different TVs on. I'm watching the game. She's just taking all day. And I'm over there watching the game. And when we left the house, we were up 17-7. Green Bay came back. That blown coverage right there. That throw to Sterling Sharp. Shout out to Sterling Sharp. That dude was a menace. He was a handful. He was like one of the original Terrell Owens, Eric Moles, that 6'2", 200-plus pound strong Anquan Bolden, that type of receiver. He was one of those first type of archetypes, that type of receiver. But the blown coverage, man, that right there. And that touchdown didn't win them the game. We actually took the lead back after that, but ended up ultimately losing. But being up 17-7 and then leaving and then getting to the store and watching it and seeing that play happen and seeing all of these grown men in the store lose it, and everybody's wives are turning around and looking, and husbands are just going crazy and screw the Lions, and this is why I don't love them. For everybody who don't get it, like I tell my 6-year-old daughter, all you know is good Lions football. And then she looks at me like, I don't even know good Lions football. I don't watch, okay, Daddy, you watch them, but you only know good Lions football. To hear people in 1994 say, same old Lions, like in 1994, so I'm done with this team. It was crazy, but yeah, that Brett Favre throw to Sterling Sharp was tremendous, man.
Yeah, that's
but how is he on Instagram Live?
What?
Sterling Sharp.
Oh yeah. What was yours, Joe Chapp?
My worst moment was Ted's too. The Hail Mary from Rodgers, because it should have never really happened. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
look at that. Taylor's basically got the face mask. Anyways, it just the whole shit show of that game was just like a total just Richard Rodgers. Screw that guy. Like I think they got into God, Jared Abbrederis. Guy was like the smallest white wide receiver from Wisconsin, and he catches a ball to get them in the Hail Mary range, And then that started the whole Hail Mary Aaron Rodgers thing, which pissed me off every time he did it. Even when he didn't do it against the Lions, I'm like, screw this guy. This guy's a albatross. Which gets me to my next point. When the Detroit Lions went to Green Bay 2 years ago, that was the best moment in my opinion. Because you effectively ended Aaron Rodgers' career with the Green Bay Packers, and you started the new Detroit Lions, the brand new Detroit Lions. And I remember that game because Dan Campbell came out when they had nothing to play for, absolutely nothing to play for, nothing. They were going out there for fun, shits and giggles. It was all right, but they went out there and they whooped some ass, and that's what led this team where they are right now. That game, I am confident of that. I know that's a fact.
Aaron hasn't been good ever since, though,
which makes me so happy.
Yeah,
seeing the Jets be like total ass. First of all, being a Jets fan, I'll tell you this right now: you are like a loser.
This man's on a roll tonight.
Yeah, he gonna lose everybody's job. Nobody gonna have a check after this.
Subscriber account 16.
Jets fans are like Met fans. They're just like the ultimate low of New York sports. So like seeing the Jets lose is amazing to me. Like I love it.
It is nice to see. It is nice to see.
Can we
go ahead,
Lamar?
And then seeing that dumb look on his face, it makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's gonna become a meme now.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
I'll make it a meme coin. Buy my coin. Aaron Rodgers sucks coin. I'm gonna call it ARS coin.
Listen, I'm done producing. If you guys want to keep going on,
okay.
Keep on going on.
My moment for me was actually, it wasn't the Hail Mary itself. It was him getting out of the tunnel with TV magic. I don't know if y'all remember that game. If you can watch it somehow, he got off the tunnel. And for some reason, the Lions tunnel was green, and he had this green light on him. And me and my friend, we were watching the game at B-Dubs. It's a tradition we've done since, I say, 2012. We've done this tradition of watching, certain games at B-Dubs. And I see him getting out that tunnel, and we just looked at each other, and we knew what was going to happen. We knew, it was like we knew. So him getting out that tunnel, coming back in that game, that was the problem because
another one of those theatrics.
We were undefeated when he did.
God.
So go ahead. You said what? The theatrics of it?
Another one of those Aaron Rodgers like, oh my God, my leg is hurting. I'm gonna go up the tunnel and I'll make a spectacle. That dude's made for
man. Aaron, younger, talented, cocky Aaron was hilarious. I remember watching a playoff, even a playoff game. He had a Hail Mary against the Bears. It wasn't even a Hail Mary. He completed like a 4th and 20 something against the Bears in the final game of the season to win the division. And they asked him in the post-game show, and they actually mentioned, Aaron, that was a tremendous throw. Was that the greatest throw you ever made? And his response was, well, I've made greater. That's when I thought to myself, like, this man can't possibly take himself serious. Dude, I've made greater. That
guy.
Yeah, and I will say, this is not a glazing of the Green Bay Packers. I just want to know that everybody here hates them. I know you, Ted Rath, you probably look. If they cutting the check, you gonna respect, okay? I'll to the NFL.
I'll take a check from him right now. I don't care. Let's go.
You get a check from Green Bay.
Took the lion hat off and everything.
Bro,
put a G on his head.
I'll put the G right on my head right now. Money is money.
Whoa!
He'll put money on his own head.
I don't care. We have live golfers that took money from Saudi Arabia. I don't care.
He'll snatch that Michigan down and put up a Wisconsin in a heartbeat.
There's just something about Green Bay for me. I don't like them. My wife loves Aaron Rodgers, by the way. She don't love Aaron Rodgers, but she always says something about Aaron. I think she just plays the antagonist to my.
I question her decision making, man.
She plays the guitar to my drum because what she does is, if the Lions are winning, like with Arden Key, the first sack of the game. Oh, I see. It looks like a trap game. Like what? Oh snap! You know,
She knows the lingo and everything.
right. And then she was saying something yesterday. Like she was saying something yesterday. No, it was the day before yesterday. You know what she said? He's just so amazing. I don't know why you don't like him. Watch this Jets game. Watch this. I don't think they're giving him a chance to win. Giving him a chance to win. I'm like, whoa. She made so many.
Yeah, it was difficult. Like,
oh my God.
Early Aaron Rodgers, when he first took over for Green Bay, like year 4 and 5, he was so good. And we were so bad. and if you look at like the Packers from the early 90s, for me, it was hard for me to hate them. And I was a hardcore Lions fan. But watching Green Bay in the early 90s was like, so this is what football's supposed to be. Like, watching Leroy Butler make play after play, and Dorsey Levens and Antonio Freeman and Favre just slinging the ball everywhere. And they're like, it was exciting, even though they was constantly kicking our heads in. But it was like, and then for them to go from Brett to Aaron.
Yes. Yeah. That's the thing. They went literally like 30 years worth of all-pro quarterbacks.
All fame quarterbacks. Yeah.
And it's the thing. You get them in a 3rd and 18, and Aaron runs for 40 yards, and you're like, "What the hell just happened?" You're
and
like,
he giving the little cocky point and stuff.
Oh man, you know,
I remember. Check this out. I wasn't even a big football fan, and I remember they went against Green Bay, and I remember my dad saying, and you know, y'all could quote me on this. I'm not being political here. My dad saying, "I'm going with the Steelers." I'm like, Dad, they're not gonna win. It's like, you ain't gonna root for the black coach. I'm just saying they're not gonna win. They're not gonna win. And this guy had 5 wide the first drive. So I knew they were gonna spread these guys out. Yeah. And all that tough stuff, all that Steelers Nation stuff, they haven't been the same since.
Aaron was red hot too. He got hot as hell in the playoffs.
Oh my God.
And got to the championship, the NFC championship. They burnt Matt Ryan and them. Yep. But they were making a bunch of turnovers. Like if you make the correlation between all of these teams that won, not necessarily like the Packers, not Packers, but Patriots who won with multiple aspects of what their team was. If you can score points and you can take the ball away, you can win a lot of games. You don't have to be perfect. This Lions defense isn't perfect. Now, Can you bank on?
They are not.
Can you bank on getting 2 or 3 interceptions every game for that happening for an entire season? Probably not. But you also can't bank on getting 3 to 4 sacks every game. Mm-hmm. You look around the league, and most of these, even the best pass rushers in the league, and some of the best pass rushing teams in the league, they still go 2 or 3 games without sacks from time to time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Games, no sack.
Yeah. So neither one is just like something that you can hang your hat on to say, okay, we're going to guarantee get to the Super Bowl like this. Now, the Giants, they got hot that year when they beat the undefeated, the 19-0 New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. Pass rushers can get hot. Quarterbacks can get hot. We all know, for God's sake, that's all Eli could do was get hot. Because Eli for damn sure wasn't hot in the regular season. But
he was hot garbage in the regular season.
But he'll get hot in the playoffs. And you know your quarterback is hot, your pass rush is hot, or your quarterback is hot, and you're creating a bunch of takeaways. You're giving your offense short fields. Everything about this Lions team, right? There's a glow about them. Mm-hmm. There's a glow about them, and it's like, okay, you know, up until this Jameson Williams shit, up until this. You could say we were the quietest organization in the league. Yep. Yeah. Everybody got paid. Everybody's happy. Everybody's scoring touchdowns. Offensive linemen, both tight ends, running backs throwing touchdowns, kick returners scoring touchdowns. Everybody high-fiving each other. Everybody's happy. Then you get this situation right here.
Yeah.
Well, everything will be all right. Don't cry, Avery. We're gonna be all right.
Hey, I'm not crying. I'm trying to put the defensive line on life support. See, that's
you one step away from tears, bro. I'm trying to keep you away from the dark side, bro.
I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to wake them up. Okay. Remember, hey guys, plug your Twitters, your handles, everything they could like, comment, subscribe to you at. Start with Ted Rath. Unfortunately, I don't know how Darcy's controls work in his thing. So I'm gonna just keep it 4 square for now, but I'm gonna go from left to right and then down, and it ends with me, and then we'll play an outro and get out of here. I know it's a little late, guys. 9:35 is definitely late for me. I was born in 19. I'm usually knocking them back around this time. Just pina coladas, everybody. Pina coladas. This is a family show.
Whatever.
So
Go
Ted
with
Rath,
IPA, man.
No, Lamar, first of all, thanks for your service, man. I appreciate everything you've done. Socials at Ted Rath Strength Coach, Ted Rath, LinkedIn, YouTube channels at Ted Rath Strength Coach. Got a book coming out hopefully in the next month-ish. That's coming out this fall. So keep an eye out for that. But like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. We're gonna get that book. I'll feature it on my channel, man. We can put that in a commercial segment, a free promotional segment. Okay. I know you're part of it. It's gonna be free. It's gonna be free.
Yep.
Walter Stringer, where can we find you at, man? Where can we find you?
Well, we talking on YouTube. We talking about at Lions Ave. Sorry about that. At Lions Avenue _80 for YouTube, and you can also find me personally on LinkedIn. Just type my name in, and you'll find me on there.
Lions Avenue, man, the greatest show in the world. I don't know why you don't get that much love. You get a lot of love, but you don't get nearly as much love. We've talked about film. We've talked about film on Saturdays, Sundays. We call each other throughout the week and talk about coverages. So this guy is a testament. But the biggest star here, believe it or not, is not Ted Rath.
Come on.
The biggest star here is Joe Chapp, 77,000 followers. This guy has had a Lions page for 5-8 years and built up a following.
11
on command.
And
11.
he's about to open the Chick-fil-A too.
He opened the Chick-fil-A.
Dude, if I open a Chick-fil-A, it's over, bro. No,
Hey, look, hey, don't employ me because I'm be eating up the supply. I'll tell you that right now. I get the munchies. There's this nice little thing I smoke sometimes. It gives me the munchies. So Joe Chapp, tell us where we can find you at and plug your channel, man.
On Twitter, Detroit Joe Chapp. You can follow me there. I talk all Detroit sports. So if you're Detroit sports, and I talk national sometimes. JC Sports on YouTube. Detroit Lions News Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. And well, you should follow every one of these guys. That's my opinion. So that's what I think. So, but it's this was a fun little podcast we had today, and it was a little bit longer. But we had some good debates, and I got out some aggression from breaking my mic boom. So we're good to go.
Right. Hey, I'm Spirit of Detroit Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. People find me on YouTube all the time. We do film study breakdown. It's pretty soon. We're just gonna do film study breakdown because that's what y'all keep watching. But the live streams are great. It feels like a party every time I come in here. Guys like Joe Chapp, Darcy. Shout out to Darcy. I love this collaboration we're doing. Walter Stringer, amazing guy. Ted Rath, that's a superstar right there. So I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate your service to the players, everything you do to get them right, mobile for the week, for the season, and for the year ahead. Joe Chapp, his socials are impeccable. The guy has 77K followers on Twitter as well as Facebook. You can't say he's not putting in great product. You guys are loving the product. He's doing a great job, and he always has news and updates. I actually found out about the Jameson Williams situation from his channel, not my channel or Lions Nation Unite, who I actually kind of like co-op for. So it was interesting. Now I'm looking at him as a friend. But most places, he's a competitor. This guy's a news guy. He's got the news.
I like competition.
Yeah, exactly. He's my only guy I'm worried about to get the news first because he's got the news first. I would like to say to Kim Worthy, DA prosecutor of Detroit, I would like to say I'm not saying this. Don't take it literal, but I will slide for JMO. I just wanted you to know that I will slide for JMO. Okay, if you know that, kid, what I mean, but I don't mean it. I don't mean it.
This man here.
I do mean this. I know she likes prime rib. I know that for a fact. At a local establishment by my house.
Oh man,
I'll buy you a year's worth of prime rib if there's nothing done. No questions asked.
Don't worry. Hey,
I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut, man.
We're gonna donate it. Hey, look, I've already messed up. Well,
I think she'll take my proposal. I think it's a good proposal.
hey, that's a better proposal than mine. Okay, that's a better proposal than mine.
Yeah, it is. It is.
To your office. That's what I meant. I'm gonna slide some ribs in, and that's what we gonna do. And that's what we gonna do. Like
slide them underneath the door.
We're gonna call Avery. We're gonna call Avery smooth now.
Smooth, exactly. I'm very smooth. And if my wife allows me, I'll show you all my abilities. Okay, Miss Kim Worthy. I'll show you all my abilities. Whatever get this case off JMO. I will license it out. Like, comment, subscribe. Love you guys. You guys were awesome. Let's get to the outro.